Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we'll show you how one organization in Corbin is working to keep the local economy flowing while also feeding people in need. And we take a look at a week that is dedicated to those voices that help guide Americans through emergencies. Plus, we talked with some coal miners and their families about their concerns as miners continue to work during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Katie Cook. It is Thursday, April 9th, and your time is about 6:33. Let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. Brandon, is there any chance that we'll see some sunshine today?
Absolutely. I do think we'll see some, maybe as early as this morning when sunrise here for some, but some folks still seeing a few showers this morning and the clouds taking their sweet time getting out of here. Let's take a look at the Pikeville Medical Center camera, and you're starting to see a break in the clouds there. So over Pikeville, they've got some rain just off to their south, but it's starting to look like a beautiful day. Speaking of rain, let's take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar moving out of southern Pike County this morning. So that's some good news there, just south of the city and to parts of southwest Virginia. Temperatures in the 50s for the most part, 160-degree reading, 63 there in Jacksboro. Temperatures will continue to drop for a little while. They're already anywhere between as 4 to about 12 degrees colder this morning. Jacksboro, of course, being the overachiever at 2 degrees warmer. Emoji cast today. The rain will end, but it will be much cooler. Tomorrow, sunny skies, but it will stay cool, only into the low 50s for daytime highs and mostly sunny skies, but clouds return late on Saturday. We'll talk about the extended forecast coming up here in just a little bit. Katie?
All right, thank you, Brandon. Tight working conditions and weak lungs. Energy sector workers, including coal miners, are considered essential. The conditions can be dangerous and even deadly, but the men who go underground now face a new risk, the threat of COVID-19. WYMT's Connor James talked with miners and their families about their concerns during the last couple of days.
The first night he went back to work, I didn't sleep. Period.
On edge, that's how Kristen Collett explains her emotions over the past few days. Her husband Kenny returned to work at the beginning of this week after a 2-week furlough due to COVID-19 at a mine in Leslie County.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been working as a coal miner since he was 20, so it's going on his 30th year.
Coal mining's rich history in Kentucky runs in her family, her husband and father both miners. She also knows what that brings. Her husband uses a CPAP machine and her father has black lung.
Our concern is that, if these miners get it, that it is, their odds of recovering are less than most other people their age would be.
She's scared for her family, the families she knows, and miners across the country. If someone in the mines gets the novel coronavirus, she fears what could happen.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about it because they already work in confined spaces.
Wes Addington is the executive director of the Appalachian Citizens Law Center in Whitesburg, a group that focuses on helping miners get black lung benefits. He's also worried about what happens underground.
A lot of miners are always going to be downwind of other miners that they're working with in close proximity.
Tight spaces, the underground airflow, and a demand for N95 masks all increase that concern. But what could cause the biggest problem for the miners? Well, many have respiratory systems that are already compromised.
Whether it's been diagnosed or not. I mean, we've known that over the past couple decades. The miners have been getting an increasing burden of dust while they're working.
The CDC shows that 1 in every 5 miners in central Appalachia who has worked underground for about 25 years has black lung.
My concern is that I feel like, even under best case scenario, that this is not something that they need to play around with. The virus is not something that they need to take a chance on.
And while some precautions are being taken,
I'm sure some operations are trying to do that, but I'm also sure that some operations are just doing business as usual.
many still worry. Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, Addington does say under federal law, miners do not have to work at a place where they feel unsafe, and that applies for this outbreak. Collett says the mine her husband works at has taken precautions such as less men per trip and sanitizing areas, but she still fears for her husband's safety. Well, we are hearing from a Kentucky man who has been stranded in China for months. COVID-19 was first reported in Wuhan, China. The city just ended a 10-week lockdown. Mark Wetton often travels there for work, and unfortunately, his most recent trip coincided with the start of the shutdown. Wetton says he was isolated and required to report his temperature to local officials daily. He is now urging everyone back home to take this seriously.
To put all the politics and all that nonsense behind us and start thinking about how we can do a better job of helping each other survive through this thing.
Wetton is in good spirits and says he cannot wait to see his family when he comes back to the States next month. Well, the Elk Lodge in Corbin is helping to give restaurants business and feed those in need. Through the $2,000 gratitude grant, the lodge is buying meals from 8 downtown restaurants so they can take turns preparing meals over the next 2 months. Those meals will be prepared every Wednesday evening at 4. Next week is National Telecommunicators Week across the country. It is a time to recognize faces you may never see but are always there. WYMT's Will Puckett went to State Police Post 13 in Hazard yesterday to learn more about the faces behind the voices.
In this building is a room that is vital to the operations of the Kentucky State Police.
People don't call the state police because they're having a good day. You know, they call because it's probably one of the worst days of their life.
On one end of the phone, a frantic voice. On the other end,
this is 911. We have a hang-up call from your phone.
A lifeline for help.
You don't ever know what's going to be on the other end of the phone when you pick it up.
Nick Danner is one of the men and women who sit in these seats every day, answering calls as they come in.
We're truly the first contact at the agency.
The first voice you hear when you call are these men and women who sit behind this glass ready to help whoever may be on the other line.
Nothing runs. Ambulance services don't run. Troopers don't run. Fire departments don't run without us. We are the people here. Everything else can shut down, but we've got to be here.
That is Jeff Adams, another one of the essential people, behind the essential people. Both Danner and Adams are second-generation telecommunicators.
To a lot of people, this is the lifeline, and to our troopers, this is the lifeline, because when they get in trouble, this is who they holler to.
That's Bobby Danner, Nick's dad.
Said you've got the responsibility of 5 counties on you to serve them, to give them service, and do what's needed if you get a call.
And that's David Adams, Jeff's dad. It's a family affair, both literally and figuratively, and at all hours of the day, every day of the year.
We're here 24/7, 365, and we're always going to answer that phone.
Someone is on guard to be the voice someone needs. In Hazard, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
Telecommunicators cannot work from home. They always have to be at post as they answer calls for the 5 counties in Post 13's district: Breathitt, Knott, Leslie, Letcher, and Perry. Well, if you want to sport a mask with the iconic Mother Goose house on it, you can order one from the Goose Inn gift shop in Hazard. One of the artists was making masks for nursing homes and hospitals, and Goose Inn manager Sherry Spradlin asked if she could make ones with a goose on them. She found printable material and printed fabric with a picture of the goose on it, but the idea all came from one photo.
Greg Miller did for us, and he photoshopped and put a mask on the goose, which is what started it all. So it just became awesome that, you know, the goose had a mask and is protecting Perry County, so to speak. So when she's able to do that and then to sew them, it just made it perfect.
The masks are $10. To order, you can call 606-435-2079 or message the Goose Inn Facebook page.
Well, the forecast this morning, the rain finally starting to move out after a very active, let's say about 14 hours. It's been basically going yesterday afternoon, going all the way through the overnight hours and into this morning, and we're seeing the rain really getting out of eastern Kentucky into parts of Buchanan and Dickinson counties, but that's it. Once that goes by, we're done. Visibility pretty rough in some areas this morning, so just be careful out there. Patchy dense fog floating around in some areas. Temperatures in the 50s pretty much area wide. We're getting down into the 60s there in Jacksboro and East Tennessee, but we're going to get down into about the low 50s, I think, by 11 o'clock this morning before we start to rebound just a little bit with that sunshine heading deeper into the day, right around 56, I think, later today. But overall, a cooler day than what we've been used to. We got close to 80, actually got above 80 on, let's see, today is Thursday. On Tuesday, I have to go back a couple days there and keep my days straight. And then we also got to close to 80 yesterday as well. Katie?
All right, well, thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. Coming up, we show you how one Eastern Kentucky native who was supposed to be making music in Nashville is now finding new ways to stay connected to his fans.